Hey everybody, and welcome to our newest project for First Responder Wellness, No One Fights Alone, an in-depth conversation about mental health and addiction in the first responder space. We're joined by your hosts Austin Pedersen and Brad Shepard.
Welcome to the No One Fights Alone podcast. I am Brad Shepard, your co-host, alongside Austin Pedersen. Austin, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. It's been a long week, but ready to knock out another episode. We got some fun topics to talk about today, so I'm looking forward to it.
Man, I'm so excited to start this year off, and we started the year off with a bang. We just got back from travel. How was your travel? Mine was a little comical. How about yours?
Oh, terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where when you're headed to Nashville, you semi expect the either the plane ride there or the plane ride back to be a little bit rough.
Oh, for sure, for sure. No, you know when you travel, you always hope whatever your seating arrangements are that you have this anxiety and anticipation of who you're going to be sitting beside, and you hope it's somebody nice. You hope it's somebody beautiful or engaging, or um, yeah, that was not the case for me. Hold on here, I want to share something with you.
Got empty mini bottles filling both our trays. I'm getting drunk on a plane. Buying drinks for everybody.
I'm guessing that has something to do with whoever you sat next to.
Man, I have not sat next to a dude that drunk in a hot minute. This guy, he was smashed. I actually don't know how I made it on the plane. He was coherent enough to actually take off, and then he fell into a slump onto. He was middle seat. I'm kind of weird because I start taking window seats anymore because I don't want to chicken wing out in the aisle. But this dude, he ended up falling up against the guy on the aisle. He stayed that way the whole rest of the trip. Didn't even wake up when we landed.
I mean, that's like somebody's worst nightmare. You know what I mean? Like I know that like the one thing I hope every flight that I get on is somebody that like respects personal space. Like just don't touch me. That's the only thing I like. You could talk to me or whatever you want to do. Like I obviously make it very obvious with headphones and everything that I do not want to speak to you, but like I'm okay with it if it is, but touching me and falling into me and that kind of a thing, and I think we kind of both had that interaction,
Oh
honestly,
man.
because
Well, you know what? The even though the travel it wasn't absolutely terrible, it was just more comical than him being smashed. But man, we were going out to Nashville for a couple of days with the FOP conference. You want to talk about that a little bit, or you want to keep on moving? You want to
yeah,
dive into a
no,
little bit of the FOP because it was pretty awesome.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, and this is now the third year in a row that I've attended that conference. um I think it's been going on for 4 years is kind of
Hmm.
when they opened it up, and
Yeah, I think COVID kind of wrecked it a little bit, didn't it?
I think so, but I think they still had it.
Yeah, for sure.
And but definitely attendance was down, just like kind of everything else in the country during that time. But I think it's evolved over the last few years. I think that the FOP has been on the wellness portion of the FOP has been on a mission to try and improve the resources that they have available for people. Um, I mean, you tell
Yeah,
me.
one of their I think one of their biggest wins was hiring Sherry Martin. Sherry has been a great addition to the FOP team, bringing that whole wellness concept to FOP and them strategically marching out to bring health and wellness and resiliency to law enforcement. And I know that's happening all across the board in all disciplines within first responder industry. It just so happens that we, spent some time at FOP. What was uh, what was maybe kind of a highlight or an aha moment for you at FOP?
Well, I think there's a couple. So first off, our good friend Mr. Ben Pearson, who has been on the podcast multiple times, got an opportunity to attend the professionals portion, which I think is more revolved around, um, the clinical aspect, the medical aspect, doctors, therapists, things like that. he had nothing but glowing reviews to talk about kind of where they started, which was 4 or 5 years ago when he went for the first time. There was like 4 people in that. And this year there was over 35 or something along those
Oh,
lines.
that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean that's huge right there. Just the cultural competency piece for the clinicians and the medical team is growing, and more people nationally are getting involved, which is good. But for me, um, it's got to be the like variety of speakers that they're bringing in and presentations, whether it's SISM or it's the peer support. I mean, so last year I sat in Indianapolis PD's wellness presentation, and there was maybe 30 people in the room or something like that last year, maybe even less. But this year they had the main conference room, and I mean, there was 300 or 400 people, it seemed like, in that room. And they set it up to where like they could do like a Google Classroom type of thing where they were getting anonymous questions from the group. And the engagement from the group was just so much higher than I've ever seen before. And they're asking great questions, like from all the way up from leadership down to an individual peer support member on how they address situations, how they handle tough calls, how they, hold boundaries, all of that kind of stuff. Um, so that was a great growth point right there, right? But then obviously Chris Scallon very well, and I've got a chance to meet him. He's one of my favorite presenters. He got an opportunity to present, and um, it's
He's
it's
the
a
F bomb. He's the F bomb king, man. We do over and under on how many F bombs he drops out, but he he is just an absolutely amazing presenter to bring about a message of inspiring people to change, to live a different life. He really just leads you down this path of hey, be cautious and careful, or you'll end up here.
yeah.
I absolutely love hearing him speak. I don't know how many times I've heard him speak. I absolutely every time it's just a joy because he has so much energy. He brings levity and depth at this in just in brief moments. You'll be laughing, you'll be crying. I absolutely love listening to him. I got to meet so many great people and catch up with so many great people. There's a fascinating young lady, Megan Holloway, who absolutely is transitioning into some great work. It was amazing. Just listening to her passion. Dr. Sofati was there. We got to catch up a little bit with her. Just some of the absolute, FOP just does. Sherry and her team just bring such a great entourage of both professional, clinical, and professional law enforcement street to bear on both sides. It was just a great conference.
Yeah, well, I think, and to jump on both of those points, what I like about Scallons is it's a very serious topic, right? It is about suicide. It is about, overcoming adversity and all of those type of things. But he makes you just laugh, right? And like he brings a different level. Like I don't think people expect to go in there and be laughing about those topics. Like they're such taboo topics,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
And but then you can jump into these other ones, right? Like Salfati or someone else who presents that's um just pure knowledge base, right? And you walk out of there like, man, I just never knew uh, a lot of the facts or things that they're speaking on. So that's the beauty of it is you just see so many different aspects of wellness, of peer support, of whatever it is. And so to bring that nationally too, because I mean, I think we're a massive country, right? Like,
Huge. Yep.
yeah, 350 million people or whatever it is. And so I think we've always had something where each side of the country or each different state has different regulations, different laws, different ways they handle different cultures, and what ends up happening is a conference like this brings all of those cultures together and helps them learn about each other and different ways to handle things. So it's beautiful.
You bring up Scala, and that's one of the I think one of the maybe undersell and underappreciated pieces for Scallon. His pedigree is actually in the trenches, but additionally to that pedigree, he's I asked him about this. He's still sitting on the ICP's consortium on suicide, and he didn't get there by academic pedigree. He got there the hard way, and we need people like that in those arenas where there's oftentimes this higher level of people talking about us instead of to us, and they're talking about a situation when ground floor, those of us that are in it are like, yeah, we're not talking the same language, and Scallon brings those together. um, Oftentimes, much to the chagrin of the people that he's speaking to. He has so many great stories related to that because they don't know how to handle that guy. He's unique. He is a very unique specimen. Great friend,
But
great friend
yeah,
to Chateau as well.
absolutely, absolutely. And that's one of the things though that I like is that when he speaks, people listen, right? Like that's commanding the room, that's commanding the group that you're speaking to, because there is a certain part about not just first responder culture, but um, our culture in general is like you tend to listen to somebody that's been through it, and when they can share their personal story of adversity and overcoming that and whatever it is, it commands respect.
For sure.
uh, and that's sometimes can outweigh, I mean, especially in the first responder community, that can outweigh somebody who's been to college for 7 years, right? Or whatever it may be, a PhD or some type of academic. It personal strength and knowledge can have more power than a book,
I
right? Or
think it
something.
takes both, Austin. I think you got to have both. I think there has to be a balance. I think, although I think in whatever platform you're or audience you're speaking to, I think oftentimes maybe one is a little bit louder or more needed than the other. But I think we have. I think we're being well served by these great organizations like FOP and ICP, IFF of saying, hey, we need to get a balance going here on what's really happening in the trenches, and then what's happening at an academic level, research level, for what's happening. There's no getting around. We're still getting harmed out there. A lot of happenings of trauma and impactful things to our brains and our hearts, which carries over into our homes. And I just feel like that's what No One Fights Alone does, is just really sit here and try to do our part for bringing a message out there to say, hey, if you want to live a different life, we can help you do that. That's the whole premise of No One Fights Alone. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, just from your personal opinion, where do you feel like the FOP is at compared to like the PBA or PORAC or those organizations?
Well, that that's that's probably a broader question than I have the knowledge base to even be able to answer. But my experience with FOP is that they're absolutely a phenomenal organization. I obviously was not a part of PBA, but uh, FOP brings such a value to our over 800,000 strong law enforcement across the United States, and that doesn't include, I think, some of the reserve. If you talk about some of the reserve action, I've heard numbers of up to 1.2 million, some odd commissioned gun carrying warriors out there standing the line blue of doing the hard work. I think FOP does an outstanding job of representing them and fighting the fight. That's you could see it at the conference. You could see it of them bringing to bear, said, "Hey, we want to move the needle here on bringing wellness to a culture that doesn't want to talk about wellness." And it's not that they don't want to; it's just there's so much stigma involved with having those conversations of, "Hey, I'm not doing good." It's all fun and games until you're having a conversation of troll car with a guy that says, "You know what? My marriage is falling apart. I'm drinking too much. I've gained 70 pounds. These little those are where the real conversations happen. I remember working the road, and those, uh, back in the early years where those bonds were created, and the conversations just continue to get deeper and deeper, and that's obviously something that FOP knows. They say, you know what, we need to start these conversations and funnel them down, and the more we can produce good, educated, healthy content of conversations, and talk about really hard things, from bosses to mid-level managers to supervisors to sergeants to FTOs, FTTs to, primarily car to car or in the car. Those are conversations that really need to be well informed on one end to another, maybe poorly informed, uh, on the hurting end of those conversations. So it's a difficult endeavor, but again, coming off this conference, it's invigorating, because you just really become impassioned and empowered when you hear these people talk. You're like, okay, let's go have these conversations. Let's go do this. Really, you really leave out of there thinking, man, that's awesome. Let's go move the needle.
Yeah. Well, and it's also what I find interesting is that I mean, it's pretty consistent on the people that show up to this thing. Like you can see that certain people in certain departments across the country are very interested in everything that particular conference has to offer, because you're seeing the same faces year after year, right? Like I think that's abnormal a little bit. To always see somebody who is the peer support of their department, or is whatever it may be, but they show up year after year still devoted to helping their people.
I absolutely love seeing those same old faces around, because you know what their heart is. When they show up, they're going to be, um, uh, a big piece of making change within their department, and that's why they're there. They're there because, you know what? And most of those, they're not paid extra to do that. It may be an additional duty assignment, or an unpaid, additional duty of some type. There was a lot of, full time wellness coordinators there as well.
Hmm.
That is their primary job. They don't work the street anymore, and so it's such a large variety of people, and different folks showing up within that. It's just pretty exciting. I met a yoga guy. I met a cop, and I can't remember his name right off the. I apologize to him right off the bat, but how uncharacteristic is it to sit there and have a cop conversation with a guy who said, "Yeah, I practice yoga on a regular basis." Are you kidding? 20 years ago, that dude, he would have got ostracized, and now it's becoming, a topic of, hey, this is something that's real, and it works. It works for me. It wasn't even a question in his portion of the conversation. He's like, this has helped me tremendously. And you know what? I do yoga once in a while. I'm not very good at it. Matter of fact, let's just be bold and say I'm terrible at it, but it's really good for you. But this young man, um, really, um, absolutely passionate about serving his yoga community. Um, Vance Rowe. I just remembered his name. Vance Rowe was his name. And he has, there's no way possible I'm going to remember the agency he was with, maybe. But yeah, great conversation about just, hey, I'm doing something different, and I'm willing to challenge the norm to keep myself healthy, keep my home healthy. Great conversation. A lot of conversations like that. Awesome.
Yeah. Yoga rescue. Right?
That was it. Yeah,
Yep.
that was it.
Yep. Yoga rescue. Yeah, I remember I chatted with him for a second as well, and thought that was interesting. So for those listening, if you want to go check out something a little bit different for yourself, check out Yoga Rescue. Helped a lot of people. Figure out that. I mean, there's a ton. IFF is doing the same thing. There's a gentleman named Brandon Dryman out there who has spread yoga out to across the country, right? If that's, all the equivalent conferences, on the fire side, that's what he's doing and he's passionate about. And I remember, I think I started following him on social media a couple of years ago, and um, from that, you see after years of him doing it, more and more people are starting to show up to the sessions that he's putting together, and it's getting some buy-in. And if that's someone's path and that's someone's journey and that's what's helping them, fucking more power to them.
The Yoga for First Responders organization. I actually follow them on some social media stuff. We're giving a lot of shout outs here right now, aren't we?
Yeah.
Um, I followed them on social media, and they have a very significant following, and I think they're doing some great work. And somehow, I don't know the depths of it. I can't obviously speak to the to the intricacies of the why, but I mean, they're doing some great work in that trauma field.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Well, which I think jumps into, a little bit of something else we could talk about is, I mean, tell us, man. We're excited to see this one day training that you have built with Ben Pearson that we chatted about earlier. Tell us a little bit about it.
Man, I am so excited about this. We so really is the core of my mission within Chateau. I am so excited and humbled and proud to be a part of the Chateau experience going outward. As a Chateau alum, I cannot speak highly enough of Chateau and the staff in there and the magic that they bring to bear. Um, we are putting together or have built and are extending outward a 1 day wellness training, health and wellness training for first responders that really brings the Chateau philosophy to outward. We're really looking at, and this is not my brainchild. This was I was brought alongside to actually put wheels to this vehicle and say, let's get this thing moving. It was already a brainchild of many. I think you were probably a part of that as well. And what we're doing here, Austin, is taking the chateau philosophy, the chateau experience, the as much as we possibly can wrap that up into a package and taking that outward to first responder agencies all across the country. We're gonna uh, piecemeal out a variety of things that are specifically related to trauma and anxiety and depression. We're gonna have hard conversations about substance abuse, suicide, and probably more passionately what happens inside the home. This is a passionate but difficult topic for nearly every first responder out there. How do I balance work and then not bring it home? Or if I bring it home, how do I deal with it? If I'm not dealing with it well, how do I correct that? If I'm in over my head, how do I actually raise my hand and say I need help? All these really difficult conversations, we're going to start talking about them, and then really put together a conversation piece within this training of how do you balance work and home? How do you balance work and personal life? How do you take care of yourself? Really dive into, and a 1 day training doesn't solve all the world's problems, obviously, but it really gives the student or participant of that training, it gives them the opportunity in that moment to really maybe take an honest look at realigning their values and priorities to do something different. The
And
definition of sanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting something different. But within our culture, that is just oftentimes where we end up. We don't have another option. We don't have another out. We don't have another answer. So we just keep doing the same thing and hoping that tomorrow will change.
well, and I think the idea behind it too is to make this a preventative measure from somebody actually having to like go and, maybe it's a residential treatment center, or maybe it's, a different level, right? Or it could be, but the idea is to be preventative, right? I mean, it's to help people maybe open their eyes and look at themselves, because a lot of it's like mindset training and things along those, like how you view the public, how you view yourself, how you view your family, those type of things, right?
Absolutely. The metaphor of using the cleaning trash out of the stream, I know is often used, but I'm going to use it again. This is we're setting downstream cleaning trash out of this river, and the concept, obviously, this training is to get upstream and start preventing that trash from going into the river. That's the concept of this. So we're trying to be preventative of anyone ended up with a hard times. It's not a matter of if within the first responder culture. It's not a matter of if you're going to have a hard time. You're going to have hard times. It's coming. It's a whatever endeavor discipline that you take on in your idealistic career, paramedic, firefighter, ER trauma, law enforcement, dispatch, communications, whatever that endeavor is, it's going to be challenging. You're you're doing it as a honorable, noble, and courageous endeavor to save and help people, the public. What they often forget to tell you about, Austin, is the fact that you're going to have a hard time. You're going to have hard times. You're going to run into things that are going to impact you. You're going to run into and see and smell and taste things that are going to um, produce moral injury. You're going to produce things that are going to be contradictory, possibly contradictory to your belief system. You're going to be told to do something that you don't want to do, or adhere to a code of standards that I mean, there's just people are messy. It's people's lives are messy, and when you start getting out there working in the world, it becomes really difficult. And that's not even entering into actual, trauma, life or death situations. I'm just talking about routine everyday work of doing the business. You throw in there a couple of really big T trauma items, life or death type situations. You're getting shot at. You're getting challenged somehow. You're having to take a life, or you're having to. You don't save that life, or something happens that really hurts your soul or wounds you deeply. These are all the things that when you entered into this profession, they left off the table on the recruitment table. They didn't tell you about that piece, that after 20 years, your heart is really going to be hurting. If you're and that's even people who have taken really good care of themselves. You don't come out of this profession unscathed. You just don't do it.
Well,
Uh,
there's no way. I mean, it's impossible, just because the way of the world's a rough place, right? And the first responders see more of that side of the world than, you know, people like myself.
the statistic, I heard a statistic recently that actually increased this number, but the statistic that I used for a long time in my presentations, Austin, was that a first responder um, would typically have about 800 uh, big T trauma type situations in their career. And I recently heard, and I need to validate that, so I don't want to say it on here until I've actually verified it. But the more recent uh, data that I heard somebody say on a podcast was higher than that. That is a significant number of opportunities to wound your soul. So kind of bringing that full circle, I paint that stage to say, there's a lot of trainings out there, but there's a lot of business, there's a lot of need, there's a lot of work, there's a lot of people, agencies, officers, firefighters, communications, that actually want the information, and we're just going to put ourselves in the lineup for saying, hey, we want to get out there, out in front, and give the information as best we see fit. And I'm partial to this, Austin. I'm partial to the uniqueness of Chateau. I think Chateau has something very special, and everybody that brings training out there, I know, feels the same way about their training. But I can brag on this one because it's mine. I'm helping produce it. It's actually Ben Pearson's, truth be told, at its core. But this is outward mindset training. It's actually helping you understand that instead of looking within, you're starting to look outside and say, what's really going on with the people around me and what's the impact I'm having on them. This is a pretty unique, holistic way of approaching their personal lives and careers. And I know that's a touchy feely way, but I can honestly sit here and tell you this this approach, the impact that this approach had on my life is amazing. It's absolutely amazing view to actually let that me when I went through it, it gave me the opportunity to say, "Hey, this is you. What do you want to do with it?" And adopt a style of living that is just unbelievable.
Yeah, well, I think one of the major people out there that has kind of taken on that outward mindset approach, Chip Youth, who's the former SWAT guy from Kansas City, right?
Yeah,
I mean, this is one of his. He speaks on it probably, better than you or I can, obviously. But I mean, that outward mindset is a big part of what changed his outlook on work, on himself, on family, on all of that kind of stuff, right? And so, Arbinger's just a portion of that training, but realistically, it. I think it has a ton of information to it. I think it has a ton of value to learning all of those skills. And too, from what I'm hearing you say, is like you're not there to take away other trainings that people are doing or comparing. It's just different. Is that fair?
absolutely. This has we're not in the competition business. We're in the business of impacting people's lives for the better. This is not a competition of sorts of saying mine's better than yours. This is the Chateau experience. End of sentence. It is what it is. And with Ben Pearson and Danny Warner's vision of saying, hey, we want to, use that metaphor again, we want to get upstream and start bringing preventative type information to bear to the first responder community. And let me just, can I just pause there for just a minute
Hmm.
and Ben and Danny's heart for the first responders is absolutely amazing. Their desire to keep the first responder industry healthy uh, is is really something worth something worth noting. It's so significant that it shows, it exemplifies it exemplifies itself in this training of saying, hey, we're going to do this. We want to make sure to be a part of this community for the better. We want to leave a stamp out here that says we are helping our first responder community. And kind of circling back to the Arbinger piece, Austin, I want to say that this Arbinger is a big piece of this training. This is a concept of how to live your life and to really actually experience life in a different manner. The outward mindset obviously is a Arbinger term, and if you're interested in that, get on and check out Arbinger. But Austin, you bring up a great point with that. It has a heavy footprint within this training.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's just. I mean, how many trainings have you been a part of or done yourself? Hundreds, thousands?
Oh, an easy thousands. I don't. I probably should have kept count. I don't know. A lot,
But it's
both
what
from the podium and from the student chair.
Well, absolutely, and you can tell rather quickly whether you're going to be engaged with that training or not. I'm guessing, right? Like,
You know what? You bring up a great point. When I was actually we were sitting down, call it an interview as it were. It actually wasn't that official, but you know, I when I was tasked with coming on board, one of the most immediate points that I brought up was is this: you will be known within a matter of a few minutes what your motivation and intentions are with this training, and this training is going to be either are we selling chateau or are we actually trying to move the needle on inspiring change? And if we're not inspiring change, then we might as well stay seated. But if you want to inspire change, get up, let's go out and let's start moving the needle really, and bring something to bear, and that that spoke volumes into Danny and Ben's heart and passion and direction for what they want within this first responder community. This is not just about name and reputation. This is really a humble approach to let's make a difference.
yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, that's the real quick thing that I want to hit on from that is what I'm hearing you say is your goal is not to get someone in a bed that day. Your goal is to change lives and you know make a difference, right? Like,
Absolutely.
yeah, and you can do that without taking someone into a residential treatment program. You can do that in one day, right? With these people, there's going to be a few that really you can hit the heart with and help them move forward with change.
Not everybody needs to go to a residential treatment facility.
Yeah.
Just because you're drinking, or maybe just because you're drinking too much, that doesn't mean you need to go to residential treatment. But on the flip side, there are people who need to go to residential treatment. There's a reason Chateau exists. There's a reason some of these great other facilities that we partner with. There's a reason they exist, because there's there for me this was a lot of this was a lot of trauma. This was a lot of stuff that I had to unpack, and Chateau did that for me. Ben and his team, amazing team, did that for me. That doesn't mean everybody needs it. That doesn't mean you can't actually redirect your life early on in your career, and say, you know what, I'm going to deal with a lot of this stuff early on. This training is about specifically one of the things we talk about is shifting mindset. We're going to talk about really turning into a different way of looking at and living your life. That's what the whole training is about. There's no magic to it, Austin. There's no magic. The crux of it is really bringing to bear information about really hard topics.
Well, I mean, I think the magic is in the implementation, right? Like, you're getting a guide, or whatever you want to call it, into how to do these things, how to do these things that have been proven over years and years and years to help people. Um, these mindset things, these ways of thinking, these processes in which um, to have a better relationship with your wife, all of those things, right? And so the bottom line is here they are. Now take these and go implement them in your life, right? And you'll be faced with opportunities to implement those things on a daily basis, right? And then it's your choice. What do you want to do here, and how do you want to react to X, Y, and Z? Is that fair?
That is spot on. That is correct. It's really just about informing. And you know what the backside of that is, the if somebody we've built this in such a manner that if a single person or a group, a team, a department, an agency, or a group, multidiscipline group, they want more information, and they say, you know what, we really like Ben's information. We like what you're doing there. Can we have more information on fill in the blank? Substance abuse, suicide, trauma. We've built into this in such a way that we can dole that out uh, into whatever categories that you want information, or or if there's something that you actually need or want related to that that's not in our area of expertise. We're connected nationally with groups that can fill that. So we can connect you with people that can do some of those things. Building peer support teams, or providing you information or training related to things that are not within our area of expertise. That's we built this in that manner on purpose so that we can grow. The initial is we hope to inspire change, and as you change and grow, you're going to start looking for more information. That may be information that we can give you, but you know what? If it's not information that's within our area of expertise, we're going to connect you with people who do. I hope I've kind of described that well enough there, but I feel like it's really important to know that we're not saying we're the only kids on the block that know how to do this. We're saying we want to be a part of the other people that are out there doing this. There's a lot of work out there, Austin. There's a lot of people who are looking for information on how to live differently, and we're just hoping to be able to provide that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think the last few years has definitely just brought to light people's unhappiness. I mean, when you had to sit at home for a year straight with your family in your house, I mean, it brought to light a lot of relationship things, but it also, I mean, on the flip side, it could bring to light, hey, maybe I don't like the way my house looks, and they would remodel their house. Like it's brought a lot of things to the forefront of people's minds of how they're living, the way they're living. And what maybe they need to do to change it. I mean, there's a reason that you cannot find a therapist that has an opening right now.
Right, right,
Like, and there's also a reason that you have seen a lot of people get out of the mental health industry because they can't handle the influx of people that have come in and need help. I mean, I, I haven't talked to a person in a year that's like, oh, I can, I was able to call my psychiatrist and get in next day. Right? They're like, well, the issue is I'm 3 months out. I'm 60 days out. Whatever it is, right? And so there's a huge shift, but then that also brings to light the fact that, well, now we don't have enough people to take care of this need, right? Like that's a huge issue in itself.
absolutely agree. No, that there's not enough of us out here doing this. There's not enough people out there actually posing the opportunity to produce change and inspiring people. We've all been to those trainings where they were kind of duds. You're sitting there going through it's a check that box training is what it is. And some agencies don't know where to look, don't know how to find adequate training, relevant, culturally competent, uh, inspiring training, and so consequently, from a management standpoint, from a leadership standpoint, especially those chiefs, they they do care. They're for a variety of reasons. Either they're paid to care, or it's part of their heart. They actually do care, but they do want their officers to be healthy, uh, generically. And I know as a frontline officer, there's an argument to be made that my chief doesn't care. That's the whole disconnect from bottom to top. I completely get that. However, the point I'm making here is leadership actually does want this to be relevant and adequate, if not inspirational. And oftentimes they're left to, maybe because of budget, or because of time, shift work, a long list of things that they struggle actually bringing relevant training to the table. Um, they just absolutely end up doing bare minimum, check that box type information, or worst case scenario is they don't do anything because they don't know where to go.
Yeah.
And a lot of the officers then are left, or firefighters are then left to dig it out on their own. If you want to find something, you got to go get it yourself. And you end up meeting a lot of folks at these conferences that I'm here because I want to do something different. I want something different for my team. You meet a lot of those folks out there running across the United States. I've met them. I've met quite a few of them.
Yeah, well, and in saying that, that's what we were speaking on earlier is if you are at a department that is like that, which they just don't have the proper resources I mean, there's a ton of things out here now that you could do, whether it's the FOP Wellness, whether it's ICP, whether it's cops, concerns of police survivors, there's some good options now for people to go attend or go do and meet some of the right people, attend some of the right courses, and start implementing what they need to in their department, right? Like we're not at the point we were 15, 20 years ago where there just really weren't these resources. Like they're there now, don't you think?
They are there. It's a matter of finding them, knowing about them, getting that information in the right place, and getting ahead of the situation. We're way out ahead on shootings this year are up with already. We just kicked off 2023, and the FOP numbers are gigantic. The suicide numbers are down a little bit, but they're still here. Every time, if there's not a zero on the suicide number, then we're doing something wrong. We're missing an opportunity there to save a life within ourselves. So there's still work to be done out there, and that's a mission to us all. Anybody who's willing to step up and say, I'm willing to bring a resiliency training to bear, a health and wellness training to bear, some type of informational training to bear to help this industry. We're lining up. We're just saying we're going to be a part of that team. We're going to be a part of that group. And I think it's important here. I don't want to miss this opportunity, Austin, to kind of know how to find us. So if you're looking at or interested in this training, you can find us on our website, the chateaurecovery.com website. There's a first responder drop down menu that actually has first responder resiliency training. There's a flyer on there. If nothing else, you can reach out through that website. I certainly don't mind giving my email on this. It's Brad at chateaurecovery.com. If this is something you're interested, shoot me an email. Austin, or I, either one, will field that conversation. See how we can get training to you. But if this is something you're interested in, drop me a line, drop me a note. You can find us on Facebook as well, First Responder Resiliency, and check us out there a little bit. But jump on our website and take a look at our first responder program. We uh, really, I'm excited. I'm the newest member of Chateau. Just come on in December, and I just am super excited to be a part of this. I love this mission, and I'm looking forward to 2023 being a great year to kick this off.
Yeah, and I guess another you can kind of concrete. I mean, you'll be doing your training in April in Indiana, in the Indianapolis area, with a few departments. If uh, someone's listening from that area that also wants to join in on that, they're more than welcome. Contact Brad or what he just had spoken about. But that's we're about done for the day. But let's say this: next week we're gonna go back to a little bit of our older format. We're gonna bring a guest on. Um, go through their story, go maybe, if they're with an organization, whatever their organization is about with first responders. But we're looking forward to bringing some guests back this season, and hearing their stories.
I absolutely love it. And I'm excited to be here. Love the podcast. I'm looking forward to a banner year of having some conversations with some great people. I've peeked at the lineup. The lineup's amazing, Austin. We're gonna have a lot of fun. Looking forward to this. So thanks for letting me be a part, man. This is an honor.
Absolutely, man. We're glad to have you on, and want to thank everybody for listening. And we'll tune in with you next time.
Have a great, safe week.
Thank you for listening to this segment of No One Fights Alone. We want to give a special shout out to our sponsors of this episode, Chateau Recovery and First Responder Trauma Counselors. Chateau Recovery is a 16-bed treatment facility nestled in the foothills of the Wasatch Mountains in Midway, Utah. Chateau's First Responder Resiliency Program is designed to treat the unique challenges and issues that first responders encounter in the course of their careers. Chateau's comprehensive and individualized approach to treatment addresses more than just the presenting issues, it addresses the why. Each of their trauma-trained and culturally competent therapists utilize evidence-based therapies to treat trauma at its core and enable clients to begin the healing process while developing a resilient and healthy relationship with stress. Chateau Recovery is trusted by departments and agencies from around the county to treat responders and veterans. In fact, it is one of only a handful of facilities nationwide that is vetted and approved to treat members of the Fraternal Order of Police. For more information, or to speak to a representative, go to chateaurecovery.com or call 888-507-5031. First Responder Trauma Counselors are subject matter experts in proactive behavioral health care for frontline workers through their National Peer Support Academy. This 40-hour, all badges, all uniforms, all scrubs, educational experience helps you create caring, honest, and empathetic peer support relationships with your fellow frontline workers. FRTC's National Peer Support Academy is taught by actual first responders who have gone back to school to become culturally competent licensed behavioral health clinicians, who teach from lived experience, not just theories from books. This fast-paced, immersive, educational academy will not just change your life, it will help you save the lives of others. For additional details, go to their website 911overwatch.org or contact First Responder Trauma Counselors at 970-222-4193. This could be the most life-changing academy you'll ever attend.